Hello everybody, this is Stephen Elson, this is Full Time Devils, and I'm delighted to be able to tell you Manchester United have officially signed Romelu Lukaku. United have just tweeted it and let everybody know Red Rom, made in Manchester, or made for Manchester is what they're going with. They've had a couple of photos taken by what looks like a pool somewhere in LA. They've finally reached it. They've finally been able to drop the photos of Lukaku wearing a shirt for Manchester United, and I believe they're about to start training for the first time together on tour in about 15 minutes. So Lukaku is now a Red. He is an official Manchester United player, and I am absolutely buzzing. I cannot tell you how delighted I am to finally see this player in a United shirt. Someone that I've actually wanted to see in a United shirt for several years. And you can say what you want about his first touch. You can say that he's a flat track bully. None of that's actually true, by the way. He's an absolutely fantastic Premier League proven player at the right age, the sort of age where we sign someone and they go on to be an absolute force of nature. He's absolutely made for Manchester United, something that Jose Mourinho said. He's a big personality, he's a big lad, and he's made for Manchester United. Lukaku himself has said he cannot wait to run out in front of 75,000 fans at Old Trafford, and I cannot wait to see him run out in front of 75,000 fans at Old Trafford. So that's the official news today. I'll read the full quote here now. So from Jose Mourinho: Romelu is a natural fit for Manchester United. He is a big personality and a big player. He's only natural. He wants to develop his career at the biggest club. He will be a great addition to the group, and I know they will make him very welcome. I am looking forward to working with him again. Lukaku said, "I would like to start by thanking Everton and the fans for the last 4 wonderful seasons. I have made some special friends and we have shared some amazing moments. However, when Manchester United and Jose Mourinho come knocking at the door, it's an opportunity of a lifetime and one I could not turn down. You could see the fight, determination and the spirit in this team during the Europa League final, and I want to become part of that. I can't wait to run out in front of 75,000 fans at Old Trafford. But before that, pre-season is where the hard work starts, and I'm looking forward to that first training session, which, as I said earlier, is going to be in just a few short minutes. And then Lukaku is going to be with the rest of his teammates, and one would assume Paul Pogba as well. What are you guys thinking? Let me know in the comments. I'm going to read some comments out shortly as well. I think this is the sort of player that Manchester United really needed. When Morata was linked, I was like, okay, pretty open to that, but I think for me, Lukaku was always more of a Jose Mourinho style centre forward, someone with that power, that pace and that explosion. And I was happy with what Zlatan gave us in the team last year, and I'm actually not sure that Lukaku is a better footballer in pure footballing terms than Zlatan Ibrahimovic. He's certainly not as prolific, or hasn't been as prolific in his career so far. But what I think you get different with Lukaku that you had with Zlatan is you've obviously got the big man who can play up front alone and bully a team. But what you've got with Lukaku that you don't have with a 35-year-old Zlatan Ibrahimovic is that pace in the final third. And that for me was what Manchester United lacked last season. We lacked someone with the pace to absolutely put a team to the sword. Now, United didn't very often get in behind a team because of the way teams sit in front of us and defend. But the opportunity to get in behind them is there now with Lukaku. And I think if we have a forward three that we could field at some point, which would be Rashford on the right maybe, Martial on the left, and Lukaku down the middle, that screams pace and power. And I think the way Mourinho was set up in the big games to counter-attack, I think that's a frightening prospect to come up against, and one that I'm absolutely delighted that we're probably going to be seeing in the next few months and weeks as the season starts to progress. I still think that Manchester United are going to do bits in the transfer window. I think if we was looking for a Griezmann, I think that's to play alongside or off a number 9. So I think that Lukaku signing represents us replacing Zlatan Ibrahimovic in this team. But I still think Manchester United require more up front and in the middle. I think defensively we look okay. There's obviously the question mark about left back. I think defensively we look okay. I wouldn't be upset if we started the season with the defence we've got, put it that way. I think we're gonna add a midfielder, and if we add another attacker to that as well, then I think Manchester United needs to be a team that people take seriously next season. And I'll tell you why I think people need to take Manchester United seriously next season. If we start with the champions Chelsea, at the end of the season, in the season review, where Jamie Jackson actually told us that Jose Mourinho was obsessed with Romelu Lukaku, what Jamie Jackson told us, what we said in that, what we saw in that video, was Jamie Jackson talking about what Chelsea can do, and we was talking about how Manchester United are going to do next season. Chelsea are already talking about falling out, or the press are already talking about Conte and Chelsea already falling out. There's apparently supposed to have been a meeting held today about why they failed to get Lukaku, and he sees that as a massive snub and a problem. If they don't get their signings over the board, they've already cast aside they've already cast aside Diego Costa, so they're going to struggle now because they definitely have to fill those boots. They're going to have Champions League football again next season, so it won't be as easy for them next season. They might struggle from that second season syndrome that we see teams struggling with. Spurs have got to contend with playing at Wembley for the entire season, and they wasn't great there in the Champions League last season, so they could fall apart. You've got Liverpool having to contend with Champions League football with such a tiny squad. Arsenal have got the Norse, that is Europa League. I think this season we could be seeing what we all expected to see last season, which is that Manchester United and Manchester City are the teams to beat in the league. What are you guys saying in the comments? A lot of people talking about Bakayoko in the comments. No idea if that's... Think about it, right? If you're Chelsea now and you want to try and save a little bit of face, you probably leak out that Manchester United are trying to sneak in and take Bakayoko off you. So if that doesn't happen and you end up signing Bakayoko, then you can say, he snubbed Manchester United, can't you? So I'm wary about what's going on with Bakayoko at the moment. I'm not getting carried away with that one at all. Do I think we'll sign Morata? And do I think Mourinho will sign a player from Monaco? And do I think we should go out for Alexis Sanchez, was one of the comments. No, I don't think we're signing Morata now because I think he is in that position. All season in the transfer review, we've spoken about this A list and that B list. And I think it's quite evident that Morata was on the B list. And he was extremely close to coming. The player himself thought he was coming to Manchester United. And then when the news turned about Lukaku, that was off the cards and off the table. I'm not sure if we'll sign anybody from Monaco. It looks like Monaco are selling their entire squad. So I think that's something that you might see. But this Lukaku thing happened extremely fast. It was only Thursday morning that we got wind that United was in for Lukaku. And the wind that we got was United have had a bid accepted for Lukaku. It wasn't like United was going to be in for him. It was literally the news that we'd had a bid accepted. Then there was a little bit of confusion with some people coming out and saying that actually we've not had a bid accepted and maybe we have had a bid accepted and maybe there's a little bit more work to do on this bid. And then it was all but done on Saturday. And then we saw Lukaku doing his medical, and then now today Manchester United have just announced that it's been complete when we kind of already knew it had been complete for maybe a day or two at the very least. So I think that the chance that United are in for some players that we're not aware of is very high, and I think the chance that you might see Manchester United just drop some more news on us that we've had a fee agreed for someone else, probably Perisic looks the closest at the moment, possibly James Rodriguez. I think the chance that Manchester United are going to drop some news on us extremely quickly that we're in for somebody else is very, very, very high, and I would not be shocked whatsoever to see us just completely pull one out of the hat in the first 2 days or 3 days of this training camp over in LA. Sudra says, who do I think should be the holding midfielder United should sign? Well, I just saw, just before we came live, that Weigl from Dortmund has told people apparently that he's looking to move on from Dortmund. I really like him. He's very much in the Carrick mould of someone that isn't very physical but controls a game from that number 6 position fantastically. And I think because he's not a very physical player, he's probably not someone that Mourinho's really looking at, which is a shame because I think he could do that job wonderfully. I think Bakayoko would be an excellent signing. If he ends up at Chelsea, he'll be an excellent signing for them also. It'd be someone I wouldn't mind getting. Obviously, I like Fabinho. I think he's great. But even Matic, I've seen a lot of people really upset that United was very close to getting Matic. I think that's very unlikely now that we've stiffed Chelsea for Lukaku. I don't think they'll deal with us. They're going to try and sell him elsewhere. We might still end up with him if he's the one that Mourinho really wants, because if he needs to leave because he's not going to get game time, they're not just going to make him sit on the bench instead of selling him to us. I do think that United could get him out of Chelsea if they really, really wanted to, if he's the player that Mourinho wants. And I'd be happy with Matic, in all honesty. He's not been great this season for Chelsea, but I think Kante's taken half of the workload off him, so I don't think that's a major issue. Thoughts on Fabinho or Matic? I've just covered that one. Alexis Sanchez was the third point that you made. Yeah, I think if, I'm sure if we could get Alexis Sanchez, we would go for him. I think Alexis Sanchez off that left-hand side of the three would be mega exciting and an absolute force to be reckoned with. And if you look at our team on paper there and you see Herrera and Pogba in midfield, who I think are massively, massively, massively underrated by the rest of the world. You see Lukaku up front and you see Rashford in there and you see Mkhitaryan in there, and I think Manchester United on paper are starting to put together a team that's going to make the world take notice. And Sanchez would definitely add to that. Certainly more so than someone like Perisic would, I think. I think it's fair because Chelsea stole Pedro from us. Well, yeah, again, it's all fair in transfer windows as far as I'm concerned, but when we're trying to do business with them in this window, when we've took someone from them, I think it's going to be very difficult. Ousmane Dembele, I don't know if that's one that's likely. I think he needs to prove himself a little bit more. What's his shirt number going to be? Well, Phil Brown, who interviewed him yesterday, said he was going to be taking the number 9, although he has just changed his Twitter name to Romelu Lukaku 10. I guess wait and see what the club says. What was that one there, Chris, that you got? So like the video and let me know if you've liked it, and I'll read your name out. And if you've got a good comment, I'll read your name out in that as well. So let me know. Gaitan incoming. Until the guy retires, that's always on the cards, isn't it? Has anyone seen Schneider? Is he on a plane? He's on his way to Manchester? Until the transfer window closed, that always comes up, doesn't it? Nainggolan, says Jake Koomans. Nainggolan is someone that I know that Manchester United have scouted, and the scout has recommended Manchester United signing, but he could just go into a list of 5 or 6 other midfielders that we're looking at. I think he can do the defensive side of things, but if he comes in, it might be Herrera that gets moved into the defensive side of things. They're both sort of similar and both can do both the jobs, so I'm not sure how that one would work in reality. I do like Nainggolan though, and I think he's the sort of player that we need. A statue for Rooney, says Terence Levy. I don't think so, no. I mean, it's a wonderful achievement being the club's record goal scorer, but I think there's plenty of... If you're going to start giving statues out for them, then Giggs and Scholes and Cantona and all those sort of players need to be getting one, probably ahead of Wayne Rooney. So I will say no in my eyes. I mean, we're not Arsenal. We don't give a statue for anyone who played for more than 4 years for us. Eric Dyer to United, says Freddie Martinez. Dyer's one of those names that didn't make a great deal of sense earlier in the window. Again, this is one where you think that there's possibly this A and B list that we're looking at, and I think that Dyer was more than likely going to be on a B list. And I think some of the slow reaction from Manchester United, or what appears to be slow reaction from Manchester United in getting deals done, might be because that we've got almost our B player sewn up, but we're actually waiting for the one we really want, which I think is what happened with Lukaku and Morata. After Pogba and Stormzy collabed, I wonder if Lukaku joined United to do a collab with Stormzy. I doubt it. I think that Manchester United, I mean, the announcement from United is not like their normal announcements, and the fact that he did an interview with ESPN is not like the normal announcements at United. And the reason for that is, when a player goes and completes his medical at Carrington, they've got all of the facilities there and all of the other stuff that they need to have there to do all of the commercial side of stuff that Manchester United have, and which is a massive part of the club. So they'll do a full photo shoot of him wearing the kit, so they can bang that on the website and bang that on the shop. They'll do him posing with all the different sponsors, from the crisp to the noodles to the Chevrolets and maybe even the tractors. They'll do all that sort of stuff. Then they'll sit down and they'll do an interview with the player and possibly the manager if he's around as well. Then they'll take them to Old Trafford and they'll do a couple of shirt poses on the pitch and that sort of thing. And that's why it takes all day for these things to be completed. That's what happened with Lukaku last time, with Pogba last time. It took all day for it to happen. He arrived in Manchester, I think around lunchtime, and it was midnight by the time it was completed. That's obviously not happened this time around with Lukaku completing his medical at UCLA. So I think there's some things that we've got to catch up on a little bit there, and I think that's what the commercial department's probably going through either right now or will do tonight after he's done his first training session with the team, or maybe they've already done it this morning. Should we sign James Rodriguez, says Ryan Sothran. I could see where James Rodriguez fits into this team, but that's if I'm excluding Mkhitaryan and Mata. I think Mkhitaryan and Mata could probably do the sort of job that James would come in and do. Will Pereira get a chance under Jose Mourinho, says Hyunu. I hope so. I hope he's gone on the tour to get given minutes. He impressed massively so last season in La Liga for Granada, who are rubbish. So I think if he gets the opportunity, and the players that think about the players that's going to be off and running around him, I think, yeah, let's go for it. Would I rather have Fosu Mensah than Dyer? I would. I would rather Fosu Mensah be given the opportunity, because I don't think we're going to play with a defensive midfielder in every single match. I think it's going to be more like the sort of thing for the big games, and I'm confident that Fosu Mensah could really do that job. Someone just said, should we sign Jordan Henderson? What would we sign Jordan Henderson for? Is to clean someone's boots? That's the only thing I could see him coming for, I think. This is Gabon, says Harry Kane. Well, we have no requirement for Harry Kane now. We've got Lukaku in. Do we need a fullback? Maybe. I personally would give Luke Shaw the opportunity to make this position his, certainly on the tour and maybe even in the first few weeks of the Premier League, if he's fit enough to do so. I'm not sure where he stands on his fitness. There was an article last week which said he's way ahead of schedule on his fitness, but I don't know what the schedule was for his fitness. So maybe Luke Shaw can do that if he gets the opportunities on the tour. Demi Mitchell has gone on the tour. I think Demi did absolutely fantastic in his debut against Crystal Palace. Dealt with Zaha, who's mega tricky, really well, considering he's probably maybe played a dozen games at left back in his life. Going forward with the ball, he was as good as you expect. Shades of an early Paddy Evra, the way he went forward with the ball, but he's certainly got things to work on the defensive side of his game because he's pretty new to the left back position. I think if you put the patience in Luke Shaw, you get rewarded with a player that's, if not, he's only a shade under world class. He certainly was when he was getting a run of games the season before last when he initially broke his leg. So I think it's going to take a long time and you need patience. If Mourinho's not got that patience, then we probably need to let Luke Shaw go. I personally would keep with him and would have the patience with him. But if he's not, then I would expect to see a left back brought in. I think we're fine at right back though. Sign a player or wait for Griezmann. That's not a decision for me to make. But I definitely think that someone is out there making that decision. I think if you knew you could get him in January because they've only got the ban for this window, I mean, they're talking about signing Diego Costa in January. If that's the case, he said he only wanted to stay so because they couldn't get a replacement. Well, if they get the replacement in, let's get the guy in. Do I see Jose going to 2 strikers despite historically only using 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1? Yes, I could see him because I don't think he's married to a formation or a system the way Guardiola or Louis van Gaal are. I think he would go with whatever he's got the best at his disposal. I mean, he did actually have a pretty decent 2-striker, 2-forward system at Inter Milan with Milito and Etu. So I think it's something that he definitely could do. Definitely could do. Left-hand side weak compared to the right? No, I don't think so. Who should we replace Rooney with? Well, Griezmann would have been perfect, wouldn't he? He would have been absolutely perfect. One of the best finishers in world football. Obviously not as prolific as some of the other strikers out there, but one of the best finishers in my eyes, hands down. Who do I think deserves the captaincy after Carrick? Well, if you actually look at some of the players that have been around, Michael Carrick is the most senior, obviously joined in the 06-07 season, but then it's Chris Smalling and Valencia, and then it's like Phil Jones and Ashley Young and David De Gea is the most senior players in the squad, which is actually quite frightening, isn't it? For my eyes, though, I think Ander Herrera has proved he's got the grit, he's got the ability, and I think he's got the temperament to be a fantastic captain of this club in the mould of the likes of Brian Robson and that. So I would love to see Ander Herrera wearing that captain's armband. I think he would do it perfect justice. Is Borthwick Jackson leaving, says Derek Chong. Reports would suggest he is. How much is Lukaku really, says the Alka. Who cares? We can afford him. Happy days. How will Lingard do this season? My thoughts. I think Lingard will do okay. I hope he gets on the weights. Or someone says Henderson's coming in to take the bins out at the end of the week. I think that'd be a good role for him. He's very good at that. I think Lingard will do fantastic for us this season because he's got going to be a lot of pressure on him. There's going to be very good players all around him. So just to recap then, real quick then. Manchester United have signed Romelu Lukaku. Do you even know how much joy is in my head right now when I get to say those words to you guys? I'm going to say them again. Manchester United have signed Romelu Lukaku for a shitload of cash. How about that? That's how much we signed him for. A shit ton of cash. Manchester United have signed Romelu Lukaku and it is official. United have let it out there with some pretty amateurish photographs, but it is now official. He's about to start training. In fact, they have just about started training. So I'm going to pop off and I'm going to go and check out what this first training session looks like. Thank you for tuning in. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Get some comments in. And I'll see you for when we unveil the next one. Laters.